my name is Luke Cayley. I'm the information management lead here at the IFRC in rainy Geneva. If I could ask everyone to just introduce themselves in the chat, that would be great. Please feel free to use that chat for questions as well, and we'll reserve plenty of time for that at the end of the briefing. You've all been invited here today because you're Go users. So I don't think I need to tell you too much about Go and what its purpose is. But we will touch a little bit on the data, which tells us how well the platform is performing, the coverage that we're reaching, and some of the trends that we're seeing. After that, we'll look back on some of the achievements of the last quarter. So what are the new features and functionalities that we've introduced to the platform? We'll talk about the 3W, which has been a real focus, and then a user library, which we've introduced to improve the consistency and the available guidance for user-generated content. And then we'll have a demo of the COVID dashboard for Go, which is exciting. It's not quite in the live platform just yet, but will be in the next couple of days. And then we'll hear from, well, we've had 3 briefings. We're going to have 3 briefings today. We've already heard from the Nepali Red Cross on their development of a 5W system. Using the Go code. We also today will hear from the British Red Cross. So Luke Tredgett is joining us for this briefing, and later on we'll hear from the American Red Cross. We'll put all these together into the recording, which we'll share with everyone later on. Finally, we'll look ahead. So what's coming in the next 3 months and beyond. There's some exciting pieces of work that we're working on over the summer and into the autumn, which we can tell you about. And then finally, questions and answers. So please do feel free as we go through the briefing to ask those questions. Okay, so Go, what is it? Obviously we on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the platform. So this is, live data, which is being exchanged across the network. But on the right-hand side, you can see the platform. On the left-hand side, you can see some of the inputs and outputs from the system. So we have standard IFRC Secretariat data around emergency appeals, around surge deployments and other structured data, which comes from our IFRC systems. And then we have user added data. So this is from national societies or ICRC or other users of the platform, which provide field reports or 3W data or any other of the ways in which you can interact on the platform. And then we also bring in external sources, so relevant information which can help us to understand the situation for an emergency or at different levels, at regional level or at country level, the key information which will help us to understand and respond more effectively. So Go brings all that together. As you can see, the platform is one way of looking at that data, but we also make available an API. Now, what is an API? Essentially, it's just data piping. It means that we can connect seamlessly to other systems. We can both fetch and we can provide data for national society systems. We'll be talking a little bit more about that throughout the briefing. Last year, we saw quite a big change in the number of users for Go. As you probably know, the platform was launched only in 2018, but we had a kind of level of around 2,500 users in 2019. That basically doubled last year, mostly driven by COVID-19, the changes that that had on people's working styles, but also the fact of a federation-wide response to the pandemic. If I could just find the person who is not on mute and mute them, I will do that. 1 second. Thank you, whoever has done that already for me. Okay, So what have we seen this year? Essentially, that the growth of 2020 has sustained through 2021. So that's great news. It means that people are coming back because they find that there is lots to be seen on the platform, and so it's not just purely COVID-19 which has driven that change. However, there's a lot more for us to do. The majority of users are from national societies, and that's, you know, the platform is built primarily to serve those needs. But we see that there are some national societies, these ones, the circles that are in dark blue, which have more than 10 users. So these are the kind of national societies that really have a sufficient capacity and sufficient interest and international focus for them to be using the platform regularly. And then, as you see, the darker red and the lighter red, these are national societies with fewer users, and into the white circles there, which are national societies who either don't have an email domain that's recognized in the system. So they're using @Gmail or other email domains, or we don't have a registered user for that national society. So there's a long way to go, and over the course of the rest of this year, we're planning to reach out to every national society to understand, you know, what they want from Go, and if there are any blockers which are preventing them to use the system more. We do find, however, that there's quite a good range and coverage of new emergencies that are reported by national societies. So this is just in the last 3 months in Q2. You can see the number of different field reports and other emergency operations that have been reported through Go. You can see there that there's, you know, quite a good range across the different regions, as well as, you know, north to south and east to west. So what trends are we seeing? We'll be expanding a bit more on this in later in the briefing, but you can see that there are trends in terms of the data that's. Sorry, I just tried to mute that. If I could ask, yeah, thank you.
I do that.
Ask colleagues to keep on mute. That would be great. Thanks a lot. So yeah, as I say, what this slide is essentially telling you is that there is a good range of different emergencies that are reported through Go. It helps us to understand that different concerns that different regions have. Obviously, there's a lot more we can and will be doing to understand historical drivers of crises and cyclical trends, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end in terms of the risk module that we're going to bring on to Go. But we thought this would be a good way of visualizing the current emergencies that are being reported through the platform. So with that, I'll pass over to Luis Vanovich, who'll talk us through one of the major pieces of work we'll be doing on for this quarter on the Go 3W Who What Where. Over to you, Luis.
Cheers, Luke. Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Luis Vanovich, Information Management for the IFRC Americas region based in Panama, and I'm supporting and I'm the focal point for this piece of the Go platform, right? The 3W Who Does What Where module, who was recently launched a couple of new and interesting releases. So we'll spend the next couple of minutes. We'd like to give you some feedback on the consultation process. To make this happen, we run a consultation process over the past quarter, right? And aiming also to better understand how national societies use the 3W system in Go, and also to ensure the latest upgrades to the 3W system feed their needs, right? So yes, as the slide mentions, 9 162 unique 3W projects, right, across 155 countries. Thanks. Yes, we can see in the map, right? National societies are using the 3W system either for reporting purposes or also to keep track of their own projects, right? Next slide, please. Great, and that's at a glance. The consultation process started back in March 2021 with a GO 3W working group, right? This working group was formed by members of national societies, also the IFRC, right? And then that's what happened, right? The user story mapping at the first stage, and this was made internally, right? And also in order to better understand potential user needs, we try to map all possible user stories, and we tried also to define a vision statement, right? Again, this was done internally within the Go team, right? And then we tried to gather some user stories based on some roles within Go, right? Users dedicated to input data or access data, have a real purpose, or just exploring, right? And based on that, we developed some user stories. Consultations, we made one-on-one sessions, interview sessions to colleagues who sign up to be part of the Go 3W working group. And then the main purpose is to try to collect important user feedback from there, right? We also noticed some recurrent requests or issues or potential upgrades to 3W system with one-on-ones. And user requirements, once we ended with the one-on-ones, we, a small team, the Go team supported in summarizing and doing some prioritization and compilation of the user feedback in order to be sent to the developers, right? That's the approach of the consultation process. Now, next slide, please. Thanks. And then this is what happened. We made 20 interviews to members of the Go 3W working group, members of IFRC, national societies. We gathered lots of feedback, comments, suggestions, around 70 taken from these interviews. And three main elements mentioned during the interviews, right? There was a lot of pieces mentioned, but there was we captured the need of having a global view of the 3W system, a view for national societies who work internationally or para-national societies, and also the ability to support on the bulk uploading or uploading more than one 3W project using a method such as spreadsheets, right? So this is what happened. Next slide, please. Yes, what's new? Okay. The global 3W interface that is already available. It's already available in Go. Compiles all 3W projects around the globe, and also visualizes some global top line figures, right? And it can be found at the homepage. Just click on 3W, right? National society, international and domestic projects. There's now 2 views for national societies, can be found in the country page in 3W section. It's a new view dedicated, like I mentioned, national societies which work internationally or support other national societies with programming, right? Now, these national societies will be able to count with a single and centralized place to manage their international projects. Some other aspects, improving the user interface, the export functionality, upgrades in the maps and the charts, an individual URL or link per project, right, for full access to a specific project. Next slide, please. Thanks. All right. So what is next, right? Updated guidance and the resources and learning documents. We need to update that since there's been a couple of changes into the system. The bulk upload has been moved for Q3. So yes, we're expecting that. Other initiatives, such as the use of the 3W system to support reporting and keeping track of accounting cash initiative or cash and voucher assistance or CVA, right? This requires wider consultation. More information to a 3W project using subsectors and also adding more tax to the current menu of tax that are currently there in the 3W system, and also integration with national CITES reporting systems, right? And this is it is an ongoing work with Netherlands Red Cross and the American Red Cross. Next slide, please. And yes, thanks. Please have a look at the resources page. The URL is there, and get access to guidance documents, promotional videos, other learning resources. Now, thank you very much, and over back to you, Luke.
Thanks a lot, Luis, and thanks for guiding us through that whole process over the last months. Yeah, the 3W was the release has just happened yesterday, so please do check that out. It's quite exciting, but we also recognize that there are gaps in that data. So it's on the network. It's up to the network to ensure that that data is up to date. So please, if you've got any feedback or needs, then please do get in touch and we can support you with that. But there are instructional and videos on the platform, as Luis has mentioned. So next piece, thanks a lot, Luis, the user library. So this is a resource for what we might call power users. Essentially, we wanted to have a one location where people could find all of the templates and guidelines and instructions around how to use the Go data, the Go API, so that those who are active users on the platform, those who embed dashboards or create maps or other or are in operations as information managers or that kind of profile, are able to get the instructions and guidance that they need in one simple layout. So it's a resource for that side, but also it's a resource for our developers and potentially other IFRC network developers, so web developers, because it makes completely open source all of the code and the elements and components that go into the Go platform. So all of the buttons and the colors, the interactions, so that you don't need to, we don't each individually need to create our own website. We can just pull from these reusable interactions. That support was provided by the British Red Cross digital team, who were excellent and supported us along the process. Based on their own experience, they have implemented a design system in the British Red Cross, which has really helped them to scale the development of web applications. And so we think this is a really valuable resource for the network, and as well as the Go team, which includes multiple different providers. We don't just have one set of web developers, and so keeping them consistent was part of the intention here. There is a link already on the resources page, but the final implementation of this work is to come in the next couple of days, and we'll continue to add different components to it as we go. But thanks again to the British Red Cross digital team for their support over the last few months. So with that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Ana Maria Escobar, the COVID-19 IM officer, to give us a demo of the work that we've been doing on the COVID-19 page. Over to you, Ana Maria.
Thank you, Luke. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. As you know, COVID-19 is the most visited page on Go. This is a global operation, but a localized response. So this means that we end up having a lot of information products, documents, dashboards from all over the world in our COVID global page. So let me share my screen and I will show you. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. So we end up with a lot of different dashboards showing different kind of informations, a lot of different documents, appeal documents, since the beginning of the appeal. So this has made that the Go COVID page, it's a little bit difficult to navigate. So what we have been working in the last few months is trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly, trying to tell a story, trying to combine things and make new functionalities in Go in order to make it easier for our users to find the information that they are looking for when they come in here. So one of the things that I wanted to show you, which is still not in Go, but hopefully soon, is this dashboard in which one we are actually putting together a lot of information. We have in this dashboard, we have epidemic information, we have vaccination information, we have information from the national societies that are involved in vaccination activities. We also have information from vaccine acceptance that is coming from our colleagues in the risk communication and community engagement. So we are also partnered up with them. So let's see a little bit of the dashboard. We have key indicators on top. We have the total reported cases by IFRC region. You can see the cases, you can see the deaths, you can see the number of vaccines administered. You have also a really nice time series in here where you can see the cases, deaths, and vaccine administered. What is really nice about this is that you can see the number of cases, regular, you can see cumulative, or you can see also a stack bar that is showing you the 100%. So you can see actually what is the share per region. And not only per region, if you want to look for a country, you can actually aggregate countries. So let's add Switzerland also. So actually, or you can also add another region. I also want to see Asia Pacific with all of this. So the good thing about this dashboard is that it's really responsive. It's for the user, it can go and filtrate for whatever he wants and make the analysis that is needed per each person. You can also see the time series per day, per week, per month. You can also come here and just focus on the time that you like, that you want to analyze. Another super nice thing that we have the maps. So you can switch between cases, the bi-weekly percent change, the number of deaths, people vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and vaccine acceptance from the risk communication and community engagement. Something new that we are adding right now is we are adding all of the information from the Human Development Index and the Inform. So what is really nice about this is that you have in here some information about vaccination. But what if you only want to focus on countries that have low humanitarian development index? So you can just go here and click and you get the countries, everything gets filtered by that. But then if you only want to see those countries in Asia Pacific that are low, then you can again filtrate, like everything it's interactive. So it's really easy to get the analysis that the user needs. So in here we have some data about vaccination. We have also additional indicators. So what % of population have received the vaccine, depending on these different indicators. You also have a bubble chart that is really interesting. You can see the gross national income. And you can actually change the axis to show the vaccine acceptance, the % of people fully vaccinated, and you can color the bubbles by IFRC region or by any of these two other indicators that we have in here. So it's really responsive. Once it's online, I will invite you all to go and play a little bit with it. It's really nice. So that's the dashboard. Another thing that we have been working on, so another thing that we actually identify as an issue for the users to navigate the web page was the amount of documents that we are accumulating in here. So we have like a lot of information products from all over the world, different countries, different languages, a lot of appeal documents. So what we have been working is that it's a really easy fix, but it's really powerful, is that now you are going to have the opportunity to have featured documents. So whatever document that is most relevant at this moment that you want to highlight, you are going to be able to do that. So it's going to appear on top, which is going to make it easier for the user to find it. And it's good to say that this development is not going to be only for the Go COVID page. It's going to be across all of emergencies. So that's really great. Another thing that we developed for COVID, it's that now we are going to be able to have links in the front page of an emergency. This works great for COVID because we can link our regional pages into the global one, which is amazing because our colleagues in the regions, they do a lot to maintain those pages. But the good thing is that not only Go links can go in here, like any link that is relevant for an operation, for an emergency, you can just post it in here as part of information and link everything together. So that's really great. And that is all from my side, but thank you.
Thanks a lot. That was great, Ana Maria. And I'll just pass over to Deepak, who's going to talk us through the Nepal Red Cross system.
Thanks, Luke. So are you going to share the screen, Luke?
I am, but please feel free. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Deepak, and I'm working for the Nepal Red Cross Society as an information management lead. And this session today, we are going to describe that how we develop this our Nepal Red Cross Society 5W system, and this 5W system is almost in line with a Go platform 3W system. So we have customized these 5W systems with all the source code available in the GitHub by GitHub of the Go platform. So in the screen that you can see that is a 5W reporting system, and this 5W reporting system that during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 last year that we have developed a concept to develop a 5W reporting mechanism so that we can collect the response-related activities, COVID-19 response-related activities from all the branches of all the branch offices. So in initial phases in 2020 March that we develop and share the general Excel-based templates, the spreadsheet templates to all of the branches. So, and after 3 months that within a 3 months period that we received so many database, so many data points in this Excel-based templates. So then we realized that we have to go with the web-based templates or some kind of system that will automate our data collections and the processing. So then we realized and we developed the web-based 5W reporting systems, and then we explored all the Go platform's features, and also we discussed with the IFRC team and even with the 510.global, so they also support us to develop this 5W system. Then we launched the 5W reporting system, web-based reporting system. So then we train all these branch office, PMER, and information management team or the other officers to how to send how to use these web-based templates. Then we received all those database in the 5W templates, and in the screen that you can see the dashboard of the 5W templates also. And at that phase that we developed this dashboard by using the Power BI, that we collect those data from the web-based application, and then we generate a API, and that API was linked with the Power BI dashboard, and every day, and we feed the real-time information in that dashboard, and we share to the other wider audience. So this is the history that how we share we developed the 5W system in Nepal Red Cross, and all the inspiration comes from the Go platform 3W table, because when we realized that the Go platform 3W tables information source is not sufficient for the National Society reporting. For IFRC, the templates is sufficient, all the data points is sufficient. For the National Society, we realized that we can extend all those, we can extend and we can add some of the columns and some of the features in the 5W table. So the 5W usually reports on the who does what, where, when, for whom. So there is a date functions also, and there is a disaggregate data as well, and the location, geographical locations. So these are the features that we develop in the 5W systems. So look, can you switch to the next slide?
I think that's the only slide we have.
No,
yeah.
no. I think let me share my slides. I have 2 more slides.
You have 2 more slides. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share. Okay, these are the technologies that we used in the Go that 5W system. So the Go, as I have already mentioned, that this is a customized web application inspired from the Go platform. That is, this is an open source platform, and we use this Go source code that is from the github.com/IFRC Go, and all the front end and the functions and the features are embedded with the Go platform features, and usually this 5W tables, they are the features of a data collection, aggregates, and the visualization. And usually we collect, and there in present scenario, there are daily more than 2,000 plus data points, and the photos and the photographs are received in the database, our 5W database system. And after receiving that, we visualize those data points after cleaning and verified. And we have a dedicated team over here in our National Society PMR and Information Management team. So they daily receive those data, and they approve, verified, and clean those database. So these are the technologies that we use. That is, we have a separate geo server installed in our server, and we leaflet for the map, and Python and the PHP is the scripting language that we use, and for the visualization that D3 and the high charts are being used. Previously, we developed for the the platform in the Power BI desktop, but now the web application that is interconnected with a separate dashboard. This is and based on the several Python's algorithm and the libraries, and including the PHP Laravel framework. So these are the technologies used, and now also now onwards that we are planning to develop some extra features for the our 5W reporting system. So the structuring of a data, because the automated extraction of information from the field report that is, whenever we get our data, so we try to extract all those common database in one places, so that we can find out the similar kind of activities and a similar kind of a program in the branch activity. So it will be much more easier for our decision makers. So the structuring of data is already completed, and now another is that we are trying to extract some other information from the other social media handles, like from the Facebook and the Twitter, the National Society and the branch offices. They have their own social media handles. So we are also trying to extract some photos and the photos and other different kind of a post, and also even from the internet also. So this will be also these are already interrelated with our 5W system, and this will support also the automated analysis, summarization, including the visualization. And now we are now about to complete our 5W development, 5W system development process, and the final product will be focusing on the all types of disaster related reports and analyzing the reporting frameworks from the IFRC, PNS, and the other donors. And this task is on progress, and probably by the end of the July that we will complete the 5W development process. And the lastly that we are planning to integrate this our 5W system with a Go platform, and from the help of the API, and this is still discussion is ongoing, and we are planning for this task to integrate it with our Go platform, so that whenever we receive these data from the 5W reporting system, then we can publish some kinds of a data set and reports, and that will interlink into the Go platform platforms. And also I want to say in this platform that this FiberBlue templates, FiberBlue reporting system is a free and open source templates developed from the Nepal Red Cross Society in-house team. So if any national society they want to use those, so they are free to use these tools. And very soon I will communicate with the IFRC global team and KL team, and then we will publish this source code, all the front end APIs, and they can free to use, and they can also take a support from the Nepal Red Cross IM team also to integrate it in their own systems, and they can also use separately. They can use this model separately. Yes, thank you, Luke, and that's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Deepak. A lot of information there, but I mean, what's really, it's extremely inspiring. And when we first heard about this, I was quite blown away and really excited by the work that Deepak and his team have done. There's a lot more detail to be shared as well. So thanks a lot, Deepak, for offering to do that. Other national societies who might be interested to benefit from the work that Deepak and team have done, and obviously the Go code, please get in touch. Either I am at IFRC, or we redirect you to the team. A little bit about how the British Red Cross is using Go before we start looking ahead. So Luke Tredget, if you're with us on the call, over to you.
Yeah, I haven't prepared anything in particular other than just to give some informal reflections on how British Red Cross uses Go and some of the things that we hope to see or would like to see in the coming months and years. In summary, we use Go an awful lot, and we're really happy with the way that it has replaced the DMIS system. I mean, it's not comparable really to what we used to utilize in that system. So I think that the progress that has been made is massive, and all of my counterparts that work in the DM part of BRC, we use it on a very regular basis, particularly for updates on surge and particular emergency responses. That said, you know, we're not surprised if you go looking for something and on a particular day or looking for the answer to a particular question, if you don't happen to find it, or if you find information that is clearly hasn't been updated. And I think that's something that we just accept, and then we will have to follow up manually with someone. And I think it obviously maintaining something like Go is a collective effort between different parts of the movement and in different countries and regions, and occasionally some bits are always going to fall behind when there are gaps in staff and that sort of thing. And I think that is inevitable, but obviously that it can undermine confidence in the platform if that happens too many times. So I think that's probably a persistent and enduring sort of challenge with any sort of platform like this, but one that I wanted to flag. I think another sort of reflection within British Red Cross it is how Go fits into the broader picture of all the other hubs that are being sort of created. And within British Red Cross, we actually host two separate hubs. One is the Cash Hub, which obviously, provides guidance and tools when it comes to cash programming. And the other is the CEA Hub, which was basically created in the Cash Hub's image. And, people now often talk about, let's create a new hub, an assessment hub, or and obviously there's the anticipation hub, which is hosted by the German Red Cross, and that's all great. But I suppose there's concern about the proliferation of hubs and how it would be optimal to have a platform such as Go hosting as many areas of our work as possible. So I think that's something that we would like to see, is Go really expanding its remit and not not just taking on things where, you know, it's just that there's an opportunity or it's just fortuitous to sort of bring in new functionality, but really being central to new initiatives such as the agenda for renewal and that sort of desire to really strengthen movement coordination at a country level and have coherent systems and tools for how we coordinate right down at that country level, which I feel like that's still at a very early stage of developing the thinking around the agenda for renewal, and in a way it's taking on work that has been going on for several years in other sort of initiatives. But nevertheless, when I have seen the ideas presented, information management seems to be quite high up the list of sort of priorities related to the agenda for renewal. So I hope that the people on this call and the Go platform can have a role in being part of that ambitious initiative. The same goes for assessment from my perspective, just because from looking at the IM strategy and all the work and learning that went into the IM strategy and how assessment was cited as such a key goal and aspiration for information management practitioners through the movement, you know, I'd really hope that the Go platform can provide much stronger guidance to national societies on how to undertake assessment effectively. And I know that some of our colleagues, particularly Rich Davil, has been sort of thinking about that a lot more in collaboration with Paco and his team in the Surge, on the Surge desk. Yeah, and then finally on the DREF, I mean, that's obviously one of the biggest ambitions for the IFRC from a fundraising perspective is how to triple the size of the DREF, how to make the DREF I mean, it already plays a big role within our work, our disaster response work. But if we succeed in making it 3 times as big, it'll be, you know, even more useful, even more prominent, and we'll probably have new functionalities as well. And how can we see that reflected in the Go platform? Could the Go platform be a route for national societies to apply to the DREF, for example? Like these are the kind of ideas that are sort of being bandied around at our side. So I'll stop talking there, but there are just some top line reflections on how we feel about Go at the moment from BRC.
Thanks a lot, Luke. Thanks also for prioritizing us and not the builders from next door. I know it can be tricky as much, and there's a lot to think about there, some of which we might be able to address, at least some of our thinking in the next portion as we look ahead. But there's definitely more let's say substantial topics that hopefully we'll have time to dive into. I've taken notes, so I'll respond to it maybe then. So thanks a lot, Luke, much appreciated. So I'd like now to hand over to Jonathan Garrow, who will describe a little bit of how the American Red Cross used the Go platform. So I'll share my screen. Okay, over to you, John.
Thanks, Luke. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am a data engineer with the American Red Cross's international team. Happy to share a bit about how my team uses the platform both to get information into it and also to extract and use the data that is shared there. So why don't we start with the first slide, talks about how we contribute our domestic team's information. The American Red Cross domestic team is obviously a very big operation. So our team is sort of in the process of understanding what standards and thresholds we need to set in order to determine what goes into the system. Because right now, as you can see, we have 60,000 disasters we respond to every year domestically. We're not going to be putting all of that into the system. But obviously, there is sort of a threshold that exists that once a disaster does get the sort of immediate attention that the public might be interested in, we start sharing field reports to get that information into Go. Previously, we would handle a lot of that reporting process, especially when it would go into the IFRC office in Panama's information management processes, wherein they would post information bulletins and things like that. That was a lot of back and forth emailing, and now we're in the process of pretty much just putting together field reports to serve as that central single source of truth that the Federation and anybody else can reference. And if you go to the next screen, you'll see, yeah, we do a lot of dashboarding and information product creation on our team. We have a standing capacity within information management and GIS. And a lot of that work ends up on the Go platform. So you can see the screenshot here is an example of something that somebody on my team put together to visualize informed data. So just another example of how secondary information can get visualized and utilized. So our team does support that process. And then when we deploy in an information management role as well, frequently the information management delegate will be building these sorts of bespoke analyses as well, and those end up on the platform. And then the next screen, I think we'll talk about how we extract data. So those two processes I just covered, the field reporting and the customized analysis that goes onto those pages, is how we share data. The more interesting stuff, I think, for a lot of the folks on this call, centers around how we actually get data out. And so that really happens in two ways. One is the front end, which we've seen already on the call, but then also the API. So I'll start first. On the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about how the front end is utilized. So the users that we have typically go to the front end looking for some sort of curated analysis. I think that's another way of saying that is that they're interested in a specific disaster or have a specific question in mind and are looking to Go to be that sort of single source of truth. And the curated approach is supported by the fact that the site uses these, I think the terminology is featured emergencies. And we already saw Anna Maria showed the featured documentation, which is another example of sort of the taking a more curated approach to serving up the information that we think users are most interested in. I think the information about the operation can also be brought together with other secondary data and resources. Again, the COVID dashboard is another example of that consolidation process of pulling in information, not just about what the movement itself is doing, but about the sort of broader view of the humanitarian work being done across the world. So COVID was an example of that, where a lot of users, our own users, were going into the system looking at the COVID emergency page, not just for what different national societies were doing, but also were looking for secondary information, as well as serving up different COVID-specific resources that the Federation and other national societies have been putting together. The COVID Compendium being a great example of that, where you just sort of know that the Go platform can serve as a central meeting point, and folks can find stuff from there. And then on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the API. This is where sort of the information process getting shared with our users might not be as visible, because it's being done sort of via other tools. And so while the front end can represent what I was referring to as being that curated view, wherein the Go team serves up the information that they think is the most relevant to users, the API sort of serves as the other side of that coin, where the views are capable of being created specific for our own users. And that means that we can create our own internal dashboards that serve up information specific to their own needs. And by pulling data out of the Go API, we can grab specific data points, and you can see on the slide it highlights a few of the ones that are most referenced by our team. But a lot of that has to do with specific questions for reporting purposes or for operational decision making. So understanding, appeal by appeal, how many beneficiaries are being targeted, the budget, so the overall budget, as well as the live view of the coverage. I think that's something that a lot of our own users are frequently asking about, and that they make a lot of their decisions around. The start and the end dates, obviously, though, the end date being something that's flexible as the appeal changes. We like having an up-to-date view of what the end date is that we're expecting the appeal to have. With the deployments, obviously the open requests are something that our own team is looking at closely, and then being able to sort of compare and contrast that against the surge positions that have already been filled. And then lastly, the documentation, which I'll show on a next slide, the way that the documentation can get served up. So this is an example that you're seeing on your screen of how we merge data from the Go platform with our own internal information management system. This is an example of how we sort of repackage some of this information. So for the Americas Population Movement, which began a few years ago, the Federation thinks of it in terms of the appeals. So it's 3 different appeals spread out, the regional one, the Venezuela one, and the Colombia one. But for our own team, we actually treat that as just one big emergency with 3 different appeals. So we're able to sort of consolidate all that information and build one giant bucket of budget. So you can see what this is doing is adding up the total budget of all 3 of those appeals, and then showing each one's coverage, how much the Federation, at the time that I took the screenshot, I don't know if this is still accurate, showing 29%, 82%, and 65% coverage respectively. There's some internal metrics that we use that are just calculations based on those numbers. So if it's $1 million, you can see that the American Red Cross has contributed to 1 appeal. We're able to essentially, for our own metrics, understand if it's 29% covered, what percentage of that we're sort of internally, not for any kind of external reporting, internally taking and doing some math with around the beneficiaries that we potentially sort of quote unquote reach around the world. Then the next slide will show some of the way that documentation is served up. Anna Maria showed in the live view that it can get a little bit cumbersome wading through all of the documentation. And so what this does is really just helps us filter down the types of documents that we might be looking for. So we're able to, again, this is consolidated across that American Population Movement. But we're also able to filter down just to the types of documents that we might want to see. So if our team is only interested in operations updates, that's another filter that we're able to add in. And then the link will allow people to get direct access to us. They don't actually have to go to the front end and navigate to a specific disaster. They're actually able to just grab those documents directly from our own dashboard. And then on the next slide, I think, yeah, so this is speaking to some of that automatic reporting that we were doing. Previously, this was a process where we would pull up the cadenza document, look at different appeals, sort of highlight them, and then look at our own information management system and do some cross-referencing. This is actually doing a lot of that just automatically. So on the left, that visual is basically just showing that the appeals the Federation has released over a specific time period, and then allows us to sort of look at the ones that we have responded to, the ones we haven't, and that helps our operational leads just sort of stay on top of what's happening appeal-wise. The top right visual is one of those internal reporting processes that, again, not of interest to anybody else but our own team, and that's just for our own reporting upwards. And then the bottom right shows basically how we're able to do some data auditing. So if we have an emergency appeal within our own information management system and some of the information may have gotten transcribed incorrectly, this visual allows us to just sort of highlight those. And you can see anything that has like a little red box around it is basically just helping us see, oh, the information is mismatched between our system and the Go platform. And we're obviously looking at the Go platform as being the more up-to-date source of truth in that regard. So that's all that I had prepared. I'd be happy if there's time at the end of the presentation to answer any questions or go into more detail.
That's great, really interesting, I'm sure, for a lot of the national societies on the call as well. Jonathan, thanks a lot. You've been part of the team really for the last, what is it, over a year now, and so really on the Go team supporting with a number of these kind of enhancements as well. So much appreciated your time and for sharing how American Red Cross use the Go API, particularly really interesting.
My pleasure.
Over to, yeah, if you do have questions for Jonathan or anybody, please do use the chat. But yeah, over to Daniel to take us through the work plan for the next quarter.
Yeah, so hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon. I'm Daniel Toveri, based in Budapest, and I'm the Go officer at IFRC. So what you see on this page is the IFRC GO Workplan for this year. on the right side, you see the development plan. We plan to have monthly releases this year as of April. So we will bring some new features and updates every month. If you are interested in more details about this work plan, you can reach the document from the resources page of the platform. And you will hear more information about the major modules we will develop this year in the next slides. Maybe I just mention a few things that have no slide in this presentation. For example, the user support service. So we plan to make a wiki page that will bring all the user manuals and admin guides to in one place. This information will be directly reachable from the front end of the Go page. So if you have any issues, then with a small icon and one click, you can reach the relevant user manual section by one click. So hopefully it will be useful for you. What I would also mention, the historical data snapshots thing that will allow API users to fetch data from the past as well. So on the front end, you see, for example, an appeal coverage with the current data, but with the API usage, you will be able to see at any given time point from the past as well what was the appeal coverage. The API user templates will be posted in the UI library, and thanks to Jonathan Garrow, who also worked on these API user templates. And maybe you are also interested in the dynamic translations feature that will translate with the machine translation service the user generated content of Go to the other three official IFRC languages as well. So for example, if you create a field report in English with English text, then it will be translated to Spanish, French, and Arabic as well. So and vice versa. Yeah. So, and of course there are a lot of developments that are mainly related to the infrastructure and makes Go more robust. I think that's all from my side. Pass the word over to Marco, I believe, about the DREF request tool.
Yeah, thanks. Then just to confirm, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, now I'm just going to touch very, very briefly on this ongoing initiative that we have. And I think Luke will be happy to hear about this. We are in the work, well, just to get us all to the same page, we're talking about the DREF, the Disaster Relief Emergency Fund, which is our IFRC pool funding mechanism to support national societies in small, medium-scale emergencies, and also to provide initial funding to emergency appeals, right? So one of the financial tools of the IFRC for emergency response. And right now we are in the process of working very closely with the colleagues in the Go team and overall IM to bring the DREF allocation request, the way national societies request for DREF funding, from the current process, which is the use of the emergency plan of action, to the Go through an application tool in Go. So again, this is very early stages of the initiative, not really able to give too much details, but we did want to bring this to their attention so everyone knows that we're working very hard on this. A lot of steps have been taken. Right now, the objective will be to have a tool that is captures from the field reports and the way the field report works, so it's leaner and more efficient for the national societies to complete that the Word version that we usually use at the EPUA. And then in terms of the next steps, again, without giving too much details, just to mention that we are right now in the process of having a first draft, first version, at least a design-wise, getting all the process, implementing all the process. In a couple of months, we will be starting initial testing at global level, and then we will be, after that, moving into testing at regional level. So again, in terms of when will this be rolled out, we don't know. Hopefully not later at the end of this year, so we'll have to see. But it's moving really nicely, and I think a lot of good steps are being taken to ensure that, as Luke has mentioned, in order to make sure the national societies can access more funding, and so we're able to absorb more funding through the DREF, we are able to distribute that funding in a more efficient way. So again, we just wanted to share the news and a little bit of what is the objective and what we want to accomplish with this initiative. So thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Marco, and glad to hear that we've addressed one of Luke's wish list, or things on his wish list. We maybe to talk about a couple of other things to the end. But before we do, over to Ana Maria Escobar to share about their plans for the search page. Over to you.
Thank you, Luke. For the last few months, we have been working also on enhance the search page. So both the global search page and the search page that comes with every operation. One of the things that we have been working on since last year, and probably most of you already know that in August, the Rapid Response Database, the new Rapid Response Database for search deployments is going to be launched. So since last year, we have been working on an integration between this database and Go. So the idea is to have all of the information in a timely manner and seamless, right? So the API is going to be connected. We are going to get open alerts. We are going to get deployments. We are going to get stand downs. Everything from the Rapid Response Database. So the role profiles are going to be matching. It's going to be easier for us also to do some analysis regarding operations, what kind of profiles are being requested, what kind of profiles are being stand down, which is also very important. So we are going to be having that. On the redesign of the emergency search pages, we are going to have a deep down into the operation, who is deployed where. We are going to have a Gantt diagram, which is going to help the colleagues to anticipate if there is some gaps that they need to fill by requesting more personnel or things like that. In the global page, we are going to have an aggregation of people deployed and all of the alerts per operation, which is going to be really good. It's going to organize a little bit all of the things. The global page is going to go through I will say a major redesign. And the idea that we have right now, we only have one page right now, and we are thinking about having 3 tabs. So one tab is going to be the deployment tab, so the one that we have currently. The second tab, it will contain the operational timeline toolbox, so the image that you see at the bottom right. So this is a product that is being worked right now. It's a timeline of an operation. All of the different sectors are listed, and support services also. And then you have all of the products, different products, different checklists, documents, or things that need to be produced in an operation, depending on the stage where the operation is. So the idea is for us to embed all of this information and all of the different links, examples, checklists, and everything that is going to help the people actually deployed in an operation to be easier for them to produce these documents and things. So that will be the second tab. And for the third tab, we are thinking about moving all of the search catalog of services, which is already online, but moving it into Go. So then we will have like a place where we can go and get everything that we need regarding to search. So that's mainly it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ana Maria. I think, Justin, are you, I know it's early in the morning for you. Are you available to take this? Oh, great. Over to you.
Yes, thanks, Luke. Good morning, everyone from Connecticut, USA. So the next step is the risk module on the Go platform, which we are working on at present. So the aim of this is to bring together and visualize a range of data from both internal sources as well as from partners to help strengthen the evidence for informing anticipatory action and risk-informed programming. So there will be three kinds of information available through the risk module. One is sort of a seasonal calendar of risk for a country per month, per type of hazard, per type of impact. So flood risks, storm risks, drought-related risks, and then the impacts would be things like risk of displacement, people potentially exposed to the hazards, etc. Again, on a month-by-month basis, so that we can inform sort of where to focus our attention over the coming months. The second kind of information is the modeled or expected impacts of forecasted hazard events. So you have a specific cyclone track or precipitation forecast, which is propagated through a hydrological model. And then our partners, be it PDC, Netherlands Red Cross 510, or Meteo Suisse and ETH in Zurich, will be generating simulated impacts of those specific events, so that in the next 24, 48, 72 hours we'll have a better idea of what is likely to unfold as those events occur. And then the third component is the kind of the so what and the what are the options. So if these are the risks that are being faced over a given month or over a given period of time, what can be done about it, both a priori or ex post to make the response more effective. So where are we with this at the moment? We've conceptualized this model. This module rather. I'm working with the development. We're all working with the development team right now. I was reviewing the wireframes this morning. And for anyone who's interested in a presentation of the wireframes, please indicate it in the chat, which I'll come back to, because we're organizing toward the end of this month, the week of the 26th of July, a presentation of the wireframes to the national societies and regional office colleagues and thematic colleagues who are interested in this. But it's really meant to inform two very specific processes. One is related to what Marco was just presenting on, which is DREF requests. So to make this information as relevant as possible for the colleagues both developing and evaluating those. And the second is for the risk watch process. So again, as that monthly call takes place, we can help inform where should both attention and resources be prioritized. So after the wireframes are finalized toward the end of this month, we'll be working toward a test release on our staging server in September, where people from the different national societies and regional offices will be able to get a sort of an advanced look at this and basically test the functionality of it before it launches officially in October. So again, if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And if you're interested in the presentation of the wireframes and that demo the week of the 26th of July, just indicate so in the chat and I'll follow up accordingly. Thanks, Luke.
Do you want to carry on with the Alert Hub?
Sure. Well, I've got the mic. So another project which many of you are probably already aware of is the IFRC led development or creation of an instance of an alert hub, which would be a way to disseminate official CAP alerts, which are common alerting protocol alerts from nationally recognized mandated authorities. As you can see there from the logos on the left-hand side of the screen. But for the last about year or so, we've received funding from USAID for this project, and it's going to be extended with additional support from Google. And this is something that we're implementing in collaboration with the partners you see there on the right, as well as the World Meteorological Organization, ITU, and the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR. So the idea here is simply that we will create it will have the Go platform branding, but it will have its own URL. But it will be this instance of the Alert Hub to disseminate, to create a new channel for disseminating these alerts, so that they can have a much broader reach than is currently present, particularly given the technologies being used and the services that are being offered. And then in the future, sort of beyond from October onward. So ours will launch in October. I should have mentioned that. Sorry. Ours will be, is being developed right now by the dev team. We'll be testing it, and again also August, September before it launches in October. And that's sort of what we're calling phase 1. And then based on the feedback we get for the kinds of information being provided through this channel at that point in time, we're going to elicit additional feedback about what kind of other value add information could we add to this, so that the information being disseminated is as actionable as possible and action oriented as possible. So that will be coming as well, sort of August, September through September is when we're beginning or doing intensive research on that. There'll be a workshop in October, an annual CAP alert workshop in October, where we're going to try to consolidate that kind of information so we can develop the specifications and requirements for the phase 2 and the development or the addition of this additional kind of information, again, based on demand. Thanks.
Thanks. Very impressive. Before dawn, managing with all of that information with some Latin thrown in. Impressive stuff. So I think we've come to the end of the briefing side of the presentation. We were interested in your questions. I can only see one which hasn't been answered already in the chat already, which is from Andreas. Essentially a bit of feedback rather than a question around the availability of information for specific emergencies. We'll take that on board and feed it to the team deployed to DRC. Obviously, sometimes just in explanation for from our perspective, sometimes in an operation you're not always like sharing the information through the Go platform, which is being shared within the operation. But we are increasingly aware that Go is the platform which, the majority of our donors, the partner national societies, are navigating to find that information, and so we are providing more guidance, briefings for those who are deploying, so that this becomes more of a habit to share those key pieces of information. In certain contexts, obviously, it's quite challenging what can be shared and what cannot. We do have different permissions, so people might be there might on an emergency page be more information that is behind the login. So please always remember that what you see might not be all there is. So you can find out all of that by logging in through. And everyone who is in part of the Red Cross request movement is able to get a login to do so. But yeah, we'll take on that feedback and feed it to the team on the ground. And a question around a session in French. I think that is a very good point. We made a real effort over the last year to ensure that the majority of our communications are in all 4 official languages, and we, as you know, have translated the platform. The static content on the platform is already translated, but the dynamic translations will be enable a translation of all of the content that's user generated into all of the 4 official languages. So yeah, we do take a lot of care to make sure that we have materials available in all of the languages, and the videos and the instruction guidance is mostly available in all 4 languages. We'll make sure to try to set up other sessions at least with subtitles, which will enable others to join who for which English is not their natural tongue. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. Would anybody else like to ask a question or make a comment? Seems like there's a lot of interest in the risk module wireframes presentation, so that's great to hear. And I think you have Justin's email in the, perhaps Justin, you could put the email there, your email there, so that if people are following up afterwards, they can get in touch to be opted in to that presentation. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, Luke Tredget, particularly for sharing your expectations and use of the Go platform. Fully agree with your points. I think we've addressed some of them through the inclusion of the DREF. Maybe the 3W will support movement coordination at country level as well. There is a tool there, and how we use it is up to the network. In terms of hubs, I couldn't agree more. And our intention is to reduce the number of platforms by connecting those and including some of the key pieces of information on Go. So, for example, you're seeing that with the surge information, which previously has been scattered on different platforms. We'll try to bring that into one location, so you only need to go to find that information. There's still the discussion around how the assessment guidance, where that will appear, but that could be an option once that's being compiled. But that's still an ongoing discussion, so I can't really confirm that. And I think that's covered most of your points, but we'll follow up and discuss in the coming days, Luke. So thanks very much for your intervention. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and hope you have a great rest of your day.